Hello, hello, hello. Honestly, I kind of like this lighting better than my normal lighting. Um, Also, I'm sorry for the background noise if you hear like a fan buzzing. It's because I do have a fan nearby going. Anyways, it's currently 6 a.m. I did sleep, but only for about 4 hours because it was a very restless sleep and I can't go back to sleep. I've tried. I might be able to after I make this video. I don't know. We'll see if the tiredness hits me and I can go back to sleep. Get another solid 2 hours in at least or something. But it's very frustrating because I have slept very poorly lately, including the previous night. And so I planned on going to bed early tonight, and I did. And then I went to bed, probably fell asleep around 11:30, which I say that's early because I don't get off work or I don't get home from work until 11. So I basically got home, got ready for bed, immediately went to sleep. And I think I fell asleep by 11:30 because I was exhausted. And then I woke up at 1 a.m., managed to fall back asleep somehow, which is not something I'm capable of doing. Typically when I fall asleep or when I wake up after being asleep for any significant period of time, I cannot go back to sleep. I was very lucky and I managed to go back to sleep within, I don't know, I would say 10 minutes until I woke up again at 4 a.m. and then, or actually more like 3:45, and then I laid in bed for an hour and a half trying to go back to sleep, and I couldn't, which is what I expected, so I got up and took a shower, and here I am making this video because I'm still not tired, because that's just the way I work. And today is probably going to be another rough day, I'll get to the point of the title of this video in just a second, but yesterday I woke up very kind of dizzy feeling, achy, shivery, fever type symptoms. I don't feel sick. I didn't feel sick yesterday, but it's like I just had a fever straight up and nothing else. And my throat is actually a little bit sore. But anyways, so I did that and I canceled some plans yesterday, but I still had to go into work because I just can't call out that much for work. So I still had to go into work, and I did. And it was absolutely awful because throughout the entire day I had like this pulsing dizziness where it would just come in and out. Especially when I would turn my head from side to side, I would get very, very dizzy, and that had been happening since I woke up, but it was okay and manageable, and I thought it would get better as the day went on, but it only got worse. And also, I didn't consider the fact, or I did consider, but I didn't realize how bad it would be, I guess. Which, just the fact that standing up and exerting myself while I'm at work for prolonged periods of time made those symptoms worse. Because when I was at home sitting down making a video or watching something or whatever before work, I felt groggy and I felt achy and stuff like that. But it was very manageable because I was just sitting down and working on a video or something like that, like I am right now. But then, after an hour, not even an hour, honestly, of being at work, I realized I was in for a treat, and I realized it was going to take a lot out of me to make it through the day without having to go home and tell my boss I needed to go home, which I did. I made it through the entire day, and one of the reasons why I was able to do that is because I kept thinking about a previous experience, probably the worst experience, at least the worst I've ever felt physically in my entire life. Not necessarily worst emotionally, because I was fine emotionally at the time, I think, but the worst I've ever felt physically, which was actually much worse, much worse than yesterday, because I was straight up sick, and I had been for at least a day before that, and it was like really bad sickness, really bad aching, really bad fever, coughing, and all sorts of stuff like that. And this was back when I still worked an hour and a half away from home. And I thought it'd be okay if I felt okay in the morning the next day because I had work the next day. I thought I would be okay to go into work. But of course, I had been sleep deprived because there had been a lot going on in my life. And I proceeded to continue to get like 3 hours of sleep, 2 to 3 hours of sleep that night. Not a lot, not a lot at all, because I had a morning shift the next day. So I think I actually closed one night. It was probably a Saturday night, or maybe I probably closed Friday and then gotten sick Saturday and had to wake up at 4 a.m. Sorry, more like 3:30 a.m. because I had to be at work at 6 the next day. And so I had to, get ready, wake up, take a shower, then drive for an hour and a half to get to work. And so I knew I wasn't going to sleep well that night because my circadian rhythm was and still is really fucked up because of my work schedule, because I work closing shifts, and at the time I wouldn't get home until midnight, and now I'm not getting home until 11, so it's better now. But regardless, after you get home from work, a lot of times the last thing you want to do is sleep, and I have let that overcome me a little bit too much. I know I have, and so I don't sleep when I get home from work. I typically stay up too late, and my circadian rhythm is just jacked up. It still is, and it was even worse then. So I could not sleep. I definitely could not sleep, and at a certain point, I couldn't take a sleep aid because then I would oversleep, because it would force me to not wake up until 6 a.m. or something like that, and I needed to be at work at 6. So I just didn't take a sleep aid. I stayed up until midnight, 1 a.m., and then went to sleep, and I was sick, but I thought if I felt better in the morning, and I was beginning to feel better as the day went along a little bit, then I'd be fine. And so I slept for 2.5-ish hours, and I left for work. I woke up, took a shower, I felt okay. I felt a little sick, but I felt okay, and I went to work. And by the time I got to work, I realized I had made a very, very grave mistake. Because I've worked many times, and I had before this as well, on very little sleep. I've worked on literally zero sleep, and I'm sure many people, if not most people, have done that before. It sucks, but it's doable, and it's something that everyone has to go through at some point, I feel like, for whatever reason. Sometimes you just have a sleepless night, or you can't sleep much, and you're very sleep deprived, or you're having an entire sleep deprived week, and it just gets worse as the week goes on, but you still have to go to work. Everyone has experienced that, and so I had experienced that before, where like you go through the day and you're extremely drowsy and you can't focus on anything because you're really tired, and your willpower is a little bit shot because you're so tired, so you don't even have the energy to fight against your exhaustion, and you just kind of sluggishly go through the day, counting the seconds until you're done, or sleeping the seconds away, which is a story for another time, that I've actually slept while working, and I don't mean like in the break room, I mean like I've worked before for approximately 10 minutes. But that's a story for another time, which was one of the times that I had a sleepless night. Like, I didn't sleep at all the night before. But anyways, so I've done that before, and that's awful. And it's hard enough to deal with as it is. Going on 2 hours of sleep, 2.5 hours of sleep, it's awful, especially if you've had a sleep-deprived week like I had. But on top of that, once I got to work, I had body-shaking fever. I had a body-shaking fever. And to put it in perspective, I guess, a little bit of my reasoning, although I still don't really get it myself to this day why I stayed at work that day, but I guess part of my reasoning was just the fact that it's an hour-and-a-half drive to work. I had to fill up my car every other day with gas to every 3 days with gas. So every 5 days, I had to fill up my car twice. If not, 3 times every 6 days, or whatever. The specifics don't matter that much, but I had to fill up my car full of gas a lot, and it was, at the time, it was $25-$30 a tank. That was back when gas was not atrociously expensive. I actually picked a good time to switch the location I was working at and have a shorter drive time, because that's when gas prices started to rise. But anyways, so I didn't want to waste that money, because I had just, I drove to work for an hour and a half, and I did not want to waste that time or waste that money that I had just used. And I guess that's the reasoning I had, or I was just so tired and so sick that I could not comprehend doing anything else but working or sleeping. And to sleep, I had to drive an hour and a half in the car to get home, and I wasn't going to do that. So I just went to work. I walked in, I clocked in, I worked for a 7.5, 8-hour shift. I don't remember. No, that's what I was scheduled for. I actually worked over an hour or two. I don't remember how much, but I had a very long shift that day, 8.5 hours at least. And it was probably the worst experience of my life, physically speaking. Just 8.5 hours of, the only thing I could really describe it as is 8.5 hours of hell. Of just constant brain fogginess and body shivering, aching, the inability to combat any of my laziness, or even though I was, because that I was at work, so I had to. But that was just it. Yesterday reminded me of that, and I guess I felt like talking about it. It's just a absolutely atrocious experience, and I'm not as sleep deprived as I was then, so I doubt today will be as bad. I also don't have to go into work today, so I don't think today will be that bad. I also feel perfectly fine right now, although I know better than to judge based on that, because I did wake up 2 hours ago. Only 2 hours ago, so that could change pretty quickly. But I'm fine right now, and hopefully... Also, I should also clarify that this video is being posted like at least... I think it's being posted 2 days after I'm recording this? I don't know. So, I'm not necessarily feeling like crap when you see this, but I was in a past time. Not that it matters, this video is unimportant, I just needed a video for 2 days from now, and felt like rambling, so I couldn't sleep, so here you go. Thank you for watching. Don't worry about sentiments. I do appreciate if you put sentiments in the comments, but I don't need it. I'm fine. I've gone through worse. And that's what kind of got me through yesterday, was knowing that I've been through worse. And that was a year ago at this point that happened. So, and even with the worst thing I've gone through in that regard, physical experience I've gone through, I still wouldn't want your sentiment. I mean, I appreciate it, but you don't have to waste your energy or your thought giving me any sentiment if you were going to, because I'm fine. It's in the past, I'm getting through it, and my present I'm fine with because I've experienced worse. Yeah, it sucks, but such is life. Okay, so again, sorry, I just wanted to say that before I close this out. Again, thank you for watching. Go do some stuff that makes you uncomfortable, because it'll make you more comfortable in your own shoes, and I will catch you in the next one.